Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Adriana Galvan. I am the Dean of Undergraduate Education, and I am pleased to welcome you all to the UCLA Social Enterprise Academy event today. A little bit about the Social Enterprise Academy. Since 2011, it has helped over 100 local nonprofits develop social enterprises, which is quite a number. It is led by Professor Andy Atkinson and the Academies of Social Entrepreneurship. It's a 5-month program that connects undergraduate students with nonprofit organizations to identify earned income opportunities or social enterprises. The program combines teamwork, expert training, and individualized coaching in a comprehensive approach to build successful new businesses. During the program, students and nonprofits gain hands-on experience with a variety of different factors: idea generation, market research, financial planning, and business planning. And we're so glad you could join us for this showcase of their work today. So I want to offer my best of luck to the presenting teams, and I will turn it over to the Associate Vice Chancellor of Alumni Affairs, Julie Sina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean Galvan. And UCLA Alumni Affairs has been honored to be a strong partner in this academy since 2015. Our alumni are absolutely thrilled to be engaged in this opportunity through serving as mentors and womentors and coaches and speakers and, of course, judges. We have transitioned from this large in-person event to this online format in 2020. And while we certainly do hope to be together in shared space in the future, doing it on this Zoom allows folks to gather from all over and participate in what I know will be a wonderful event from wherever our alumni and students are in around the world. We hope that you have a wonderful time today learning about these incredible nonprofits and the work they are doing to build and sustain our communities. We are so grateful for the ongoing partnership we have with the Department of Economics, and the founder of that and the founder of this partnership, I'm so pleased to introduce to you right now, and that is Professor Andy Atkinson, the Stanley M. Zimmerman Professor of Economics and Finance. Thank you so much, Andy, for this continued partnership.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Dean Galvan. So it's wonderful that everyone has been able to join us today over Zoom. We're here to celebrate the great work that all the participants in our 2022 UCLA Social Enterprise Academy have done this year. For those of you who are new to what we are doing, as Dean Galvan mentioned, in the Social Enterprise Academy, we bring together 50 of our top undergraduate students with staff from a wide range of nonprofit organizations from the Los Angeles area, and in this age of Zoom, from even further away. And we have them work together for 5 months in teams to plan and pitch a revenue-generating venture to support the mission of these nonprofit organizations. This evening, we'll see the fruits of this work in the presentation of our 3 finalists and in the fast pitches from our other 6 organizations in this year's Academy. You will meet our distinguished panel of judges who will allocate prize money among our finalists, and you, the audience, will have a chance to vote for your favorite among the fast pitches, awarding them a cash audience favorite prize. After these presentations, we will have an exciting keynote speech from someone with deep experience in social enterprise, and we will wrap up with an announcement of all of our winners. So I hope you find this a fun and inspiring 2-hour program. Before we start, let me say a few words about what we're doing here in the UCLA Social Enterprise Academy. As I'm sure you know, it is hard to make sustained progress in combating all the social problems we see around us if you have to depend solely on grants and charity to get your work done. Our goal in the UCLA Social Enterprise Academy is to support nonprofit organizations in their search for new revenue sources to support their social impact through social enterprise. While there are many organizations that share our goal of helping to develop social enterprise as a tool for improving our society, what I think is unique about what we do is that we bring UCLA students to the table. By having students work hand in hand with the staff of our participating nonprofit organizations, we're able to bring new ideas and the students' energy and talents to bear on the task of developing plans for a viable venture to further the mission of our participating nonprofits. These UCLA students and nonprofit staff have been working together since early January. They have done a crash course in social entrepreneurship, all the while focused on the concrete task of real rather than purely academic development of a social enterprise. I do want to express my gratitude to several groups. We carry out this academy in close partnership with Academies for Social Entrepreneurship. You will meet representatives of this organization shortly: Betsy Densmore, Isabel Bart, and Archie Holton. It would be impossible for us to carry out this academy without this partnership. And I see this partnership between UCLA and Academies for Social Entrepreneurship as a model for how UCLA might develop deeper and more sustained engagement in our communities, both as an end in itself and as a means for enhancing and enriching our students' educational experience here as undergraduates. We are very fortunate and grateful to have the generous and steadfast support of the Nicholas Endowment as our primary funder for this academy for over 10 years. And I'm also grateful to the Fawcett Catalyst Fund for their support. We are especially indebted to the many volunteers who share their expertise, both as guest lecturers in our academy and as judges in both our preliminary round of competition and here in this showcase. You will see these volunteers and judges listed in our program, and you will meet them in a few minutes. To that end, let me turn things over to Betsy Densmore of Academies for Social Entrepreneurship. So Betsy.
Here I am. Thanks, Andy. So it is, I'm going to let people, it is my privilege to introduce you to this year's 4 judges and to moderate the presentations of the finalists. There are bio sketches for each of them in your program guide, which I will not read. Instead, I'll just highlight the reasons that we invited them to serve this year. Yolanda Gorman, Senior Advisor to UCLA's Chancellor, has spent her whole career providing leadership and management guidance in the social sector. Among her past lives is being board chair of one of my favorite social enterprises, the Cal Nonprofit Insurance Services, which serves the special insurance needs of nonprofits throughout California. She has also been a mentor for past Academy participants whose ventures were a match for her interests and expertise. Maria Kim, former CEO of the Cara Collective, a large and impactful social enterprise in Chicago, Maria has moved to Los Angeles to become CEO of REDF. For those who don't know REDF was one of the first organizations to champion workforce development focused on social enterprises, starting probably 2 decades ago. And it is now perhaps the most influential national organization in the country, providing technical and financial resources along with skilled advocacy on behalf of our industry. That's what Maria's up to. Matthew Pierce is a very successful serial entrepreneur with at least one exceptional characteristic. He is completely generous and adept about sharing what he's learned from others. We always try to have him as a guest resource during our academy because everyone learns so much from his tales of the front. And Claudia Sangster. Claudia was an early proponent of venture philanthropy, urging her clients and associates to invest in the social sector as they would any smart business. Her belief in the power of social enterprise and in teaching nonprofits how to better articulate their impact has deeply shaped ASE, as well as Social Venture Partners, whose Los Angeles chapter she co-founded. Please welcome our judges. This was where everyone would applaud if we could. After each finalist does their presentation, the judges have about a minute each to provide some feedback. Then they will be using the criteria you see in your program, and it's been put up on our screen, to do their initial ratings. Once everyone is presented, the judges will be excused to discuss and decide on how our prize pool should be distributed. The presenters each have 8 minutes. And the first presenter is Lost and Found Dogs USA. So we'll now give them a second to get themselves up, and off we go. Welcome, Lost and Found Dogs USA.
Thank you for having us. Give us 1 second here. Cool. Jeanette, are you around?
I need a pin.
No, just turn your video on.
Okay, trying to. Hang on. Uh-oh, asking me for a pin. Start my video. Hang on. Uh-oh. Let me try something.
We
Awesome.
can see you, Jeanette. You're online now.
Oh, am I?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good enough for me.
Are the judges okay? Ready, Eddie?
Go ahead.
I'm good.
Awesome. This is Phoebe. On March 10th, on a sunny day in Willow Springs, California, Mr. McCarthy took her out for a nice little walk. And everything was going fine until about 15 minutes in when Phoebe saw a squirrel and sprinted after it in full speed pursuit. Mr. McCarthy sprinted after the dog as fast as he could, but it was too late. She was gone. A month passed, and the McCarthys looked everywhere. They called their family, their friends, but after a long time of hoping, all they could do was pray that their dog hadn't been killed on the highway or in the middle of the desert. But little did they know, the whole time, Jeanette from Lost and Found Dogs USA Rescue had Phoebe, but there was no owner to call, no person to go contact, no door to go knock on. All it would have taken is one microchip, and Phoebe would have been home.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeanette Puda-Carrera. I'm the founder of Lost and Found Dogs USA Network. In 2010, I launched the very first social media group via Facebook, reuniting pets with their owners. My idea was and still is reuniting lost pets before entering their already crowded shelters. We have to date reunited thousands of animals, and pre-COVID proudly reduced the euthanasia rate by 40%. Today, we have gained the trust of the community and principals in the rescue and animal welfare agencies. In 2018, we gained the national recognition via a television show called Save Our Shelter. In 2021, once again, we were recognized for our efforts via Netflix show called Canine Intervention. Lastly, all this being said to prove that Lost and Found Dogs USA Network boldly goes where no rescue has gone before. I will share a story with you, or my experience, I should say. Sorry about that. Out of hundreds of pets that land at my shelter, and most shelters, only 1% are microchipped. This is a huge problem. So we ask, why is that? We live in a time of convenience. Many families put microchipping their pets on the last of their list, and many times, sadly, it's too late. Our mobile microchipping service will solve this problem, in turn, making it convenient for pet owners such as yourself. Shelters and overcapacity rescues are desperately trying to find a solution. Hands down, I truly believe this service will chip away at this crisis, one microchip at a time.
And this is where Lost and Found Dogs mobile microchipping service comes into play. Our product is simple. We provide mobile microchipping and dog tagging services for the people of Southern California. A microchip is about the size of a grain of rice and is injected directly under the skin of your pet. What this allows us to do is tie your specific pet to your name, your address, and your phone number, which means that if your pet ever gets lost or found by somebody 90 miles away, we know whose pet it is and we can get it back to you safe and sound. Our impact continues to be reuniting families with their pets. We've been doing this for the past decade, and we think that microchipping is the next step moving forward for our organization. Our market, we estimate to be about 67,000 households in Kern County and Greater LA. We think that we start here locally where we're strong and then move into the rest of the state and hopefully to all of America to really hit this crisis as hard as we can. Our competitive position involves three facets. Number one, we are accessible. When you ask pet owners why they don't microchip their pets, the first reason they give you is, oh, it was never convenient, or oh, I didn't think about it. But when you have these mobile units in high traffic areas where pet owners are always accessing them, pet owners have a high incentive to go and microchip their pets. This, combined with the fact that we have house calls with flexible hours, means that pet owners can get their pets microchipped whenever they want. Two, we are simple. Our 15-minute efficient procedure means that people can walk in, get their pets microchipped, and be out in less than 15 minutes. You don't have to stand in line for the vet or make terribly confusing appointments. Number three, we are cost effective. What we've striven to do is cut as much overhead as possible from each one of these units. This means that we've created a system, a mobile unit, which is so cost effective and optimized that we essentially have the ability to provide competitive pricing for all demographics. We think that pet owners should be able to get microchipped on any income level, and that's exactly what we're trying to provide here. So how do we know that pet owners really love our mobile microchipping programs? Well, we did a startup. We launched a pilot program. We did a local social media post in Rosamond, California, and we were able to do 31 microchips in 1 weekend. That's 6 hours with a span of 3 days. That on the left there, you see Mohawk, who was the first dog microchipped during our pilot program. And on the right there, that's the Jones family, who was looking all happy after they got their dog microchipped. We actually had 5 house calls also scheduled for the next week. And 3 people even came up to us and they said, oh, we'd love to be a part of your cause. We'd love to be technicians. We'd love to help out. And we think that this is a great reason as to why we have to continue microchipping dogs, in Kern County County. We think the greatest thing about our model is that it has high scalability. All you need for every mobile unit is a vehicle. Any vehicle works. You need some microchips. We can buy those in bulk for a low cost. You need a scanner, about $400 each. You need a technician with a smile in their voice. These 4 things, and you can essentially have these mobile units all across California. We think that our low startup cost means that we would have scaled rapidly, starting in Southern California and moving over to all of America. We think that licensing and franchising are also alternatives to increase revenue output in this particular scheme. Our team is perfectly poised to execute this venture at this moment. Our massive volunteer base, who continues to help us reunite dogs, combined with our community partners like Kern and LA counties, as well as PetSmart charities, means that we are in a position to leverage those contacts to really be strong and supportive for this crisis. We think that mobile microchipping doesn't require a lot of startup, but we think that we can leverage these community partners to make sure that pet owners understand that this is something they should do, and this is something that they need to do for their pet. We project our financials to grow profitably over the next 5 years. We think that our competitive pricing of about $30 for the consumer, assuming about $30 per week, gives us a profit margin of about $250,000 by year 3. We think we're looking to scale quickly, we're looking to scale efficiently, and that's why we think we can grow really quickly over the next 5 years. We're asking for $40,000 to cover our launch expenses for the first 6 months. The biggest cost here is labor, because we think that in order to scale quickly and manage the large number of technicians we think we're going to need to really hit this problem the hardest, we're going to need a coordinator to make sure that we can coordinate supplies and things like that. We think that people who from the pilot program have still been asking us if they can get their dogs microchipped, but we don't have the bandwidth for that, and we're looking for a coordinator mainly to make sure that we can cover the high volume in demand.
Imagine one day you woke up and your pet had just vanished, nowhere to be found. Needless to say, you would go into panic mode. As time goes by, your sleepless nights turns into long days and you can't even think straight. You wonder where in the world your pet has gone. Microchipping your pet will give families such as yourself peace of mind. This is a true story of mine. My first pit bull I rescued from LA County shelter. His name was Frankie. One night at around 9 p.m., I kissed my Frankie goodnight. The next morning around 11 a.m., while having my coffee, I received a call from Bakersfield Animal Shelter. Now, mind you, this is a shelter that's about 90 miles away, a different county. They stated that they had my pit bull, and I told them that first, I think that it was a mistake, excuse me. I asked them to send me a picture, and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was my Frankie. Frankie he was found on a highway with a broken leg and sustained multiple injuries. Microchipping works, people. Ladies and gentlemen, Lost and Found Dogs is ready, willing, and able. We just need your help. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, nicely done. So now I would ask that the judges turn on their cameras, and maybe I'll just call on you so that then we can kind of go in rotation. So Claudia, can I ask you to be the first commenter since you've done this before?
Oh, sure. I want to thank the team for doing a really great job articulating your value. You were clear, you were concise, and you knew how to tell a story. And that is not easy to do in 8 minutes, and you did it quite well. If I were going to ask a question, which we're not allowed to do, what I would want you to think about for your next pitch in the future is to help us understand some of the things that you will be challenged with a mobile unit, because things happen. Where do you get the cars? Is it all going to be, what's the insurance going to be? Are you going to have to do background checks? Those kinds of things, just to highlight that the labor cost is your greatest cost, which what you said. But how will you deal with those issues? I know you can't answer that because we're not allowed to do this give and take, but I want to tell you that I thought it was very clear. You were very articulate, and I know exactly what you're trying to do. And sometimes that's not the case. So thank you so much for taking the time and for doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Yolanda?
Excuse me, thank you. I'd like to echo what Claudia said and to follow up on a comment that she made that was related to labor costs. I think it would be helpful to understand a little more how you scale with respect to the technicians and how technicians are trained, so that as you're making your pitch, people understand what the training is and have confidence that they would be able to deliver the service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria?
Hi, thank you both for your presentation. Couple observations. One, the Phoebe story was great. You drew me in. I know many a dog walking experience where the squirrel is the celebrity, and so that was a very good hook to get me engaged in the conversation. Later, Jeanette, when you started talking about some positive and negative data points, you brought up the 40% reduction. That's significant empathy for the value that your product can bring. You brought up the awards that you've received, but the background of your deck didn't match what you were saying. And so I wonder if an audience member listening to your pitch and wanting to absorb the criticality of those data points, if their learning could be more cemented, if what they were looking at matched what you were articulating. I'll express my own naivete. I don't really understand until I read your deck the concept of the microchip, because I am not a dog owner myself. And so the explanation of the microchip actually came after, Jeanette, you talked about the value of it. I wonder if that sequencing can get tighter, where you could do a quick 101 on what is a microchip, how does it get executed, and then go into the data points. The data points that you did have was 10 million people lose their pets, and the return rate for non-microchip just 22%. That's staggering, but you didn't voice that over. So I don't know if I made the cognitive connection until after, and I started thinking about how many people are losing it. Why is this a value add? Just another piece. Last two things. There is a bit of a gap between Atarva, how you present, and Jeanette, how you present, which is great, right? Two different people, two different personalities, etc. What you don't want to have happen in an audience like this is like Atarva is like the go-get-em business guy, and Jeanette is like the soulful founder for which, you know, where this is the meaning and everything, and that those shouldn't be cognitively dissonant for the audience member. So even calibrating volume, Atarva, can help to make that balance a little tighter. And for the non-questions that we're not allowed to ask, it would be who's occupying this space right now? Where do you fit in the competitive landscape? And you know, could you tack your service onto like a veterinarian? Like, is there a way to kind of stack your service onto an existing pet engagement to reduce your cost of labor?
Thank you.
All right, Matthew?
I thought, nice work, good job. I thought that all of the judges have offered very insightful stuff here. Claudia and Yolanda in particular, focusing on margin analysis. This idea of doing 30 in 3 days sounds great because you did 30, but like you made $900 like over 3 days. Like that doesn't match with the financials that I saw that have you guys becoming, you know, wildly profitable over the course of the next 18 months. And, you know, you start at 100 grand. Like I would go back and make sure that the math matches that, you know, especially with the margin analysis that Claudia and Yolanda rightly pointed out is an area of, you know, not questions. And then I thought Maria's analysis was excellent around, you know, where else can you draw distinctions? In particular, the one that I thought was one of the ones that Maria thought, which is if you're going to say that, you know, 22% of non-chips animals get back, then you got to say how many chipped animals get back, right? To be able to draw, like, look at how much better it is when you get them chipped. Like the efficacy, both the social efficacy and the sort of financial efficacy, like I didn't see that distinction drawn clearly enough. Like I have all this heart for this dog that gets lost, but like, I don't see it. I don't see your service materially changing that in the data that you presented. And I know that it exists, but I didn't see it in the data that you presented. And then my fear is the same that Maria's is. If a $30 chipping is that easy to do, it can be done everywhere. Why you in particular? You're not positioned as well to do it as like PetSmart would be, or as a fleet of veterinarians would be to do it. So like I think drawing. Basically, I just took up 45 seconds telling you to listen to Maria and Claudia and Yolanda, which you should definitely do.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you, presenters. Let's give the
you.
judges a minute to mark their scar sheet. No comments from the presenters. Mute. And then we will move on to the next presenter. My day counts, but let's take just a minute here for them to get settled in and for the judges to make some notes. All right, I think that the next presentation can begin whenever the presenters are ready. Good job on the timing, both judges and lost dogs. See if everybody stays within 8 minutes.
All right, I think we're ready to begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Nima Ashrafi, and today Alora and I will be presenting on behalf of My Day Counts. This is Ruby. Ruby is extremely driven and has a strong desire to help others. She even has a phenomenal work ethic, cooperative spirit, and great time management skills. To any recruiter, she would seem like the ideal candidate for a variety of jobs, yet she still struggled to find even one. She has had doors closed on her left and right just because Ruby has an intellectual disability. Imagine what this is like. Our country is in a tight labor market. Businesses desperately want workers, but yet they still say no to you simply because of who you are and the condition you were born with. This is the reality for a staggering 78% of people with physical or intellectual disabilities who continue to be unemployed, who continue to work hard to become more independent in their day-to-day lives, in the workplace, but who keep hearing the word no because of a condition out of their control. We're on a mission to change that. My Day Counts helps individuals with intellectual disabilities enter the workforce and has done so over the past 70 years in the Anaheim area. Our venture is to create an alternative staffing agency within My Day Counts that will allow individuals with intellectual disabilities to get hands-on workplace experience through janitorial services. We plan to have participants work in teams of 4 under a qualified supervisor who is always present at the site. Moving forward to the solution, we believe there's 3 results that come from our venture. First is the social impact. We are changing the lives of people with intellectual disabilities by granting them the opportunity to have more autonomy and more decision-making in their day-to-day lives. Second, we link businesses to workers. This has economic benefits across the board. Finally, we generate revenue. We believe this will become a self-sustaining venture that enables My Day Counts to fund other impacts as well, growing the nonprofit as a whole. When it comes to the target market, we believe there is a total of a $3.6 million Anaheim market that is broken down into both private corporations and public entities. We want to start by working on smaller contracts with private corporations as a commercial cleaning option because it allows us to develop a proof of our business model before going into bidding for government contracts and working with public entities. We've seen the same model of working with private first and then moving to the larger scale public contracts with out-of-state competitors such as People Inc., which is based in Rochester, and Relay Resources, which is based in Portland, Oregon. We've had many conversations with them, and it's the model that makes the most sense to us. When it comes to the competitive positioning, there's really three areas to take note of. First is the out-of-state competitors. As I mentioned, these are Relay Resources and People Inc. We've modeled our venture after theirs because of the success, the continued success that they've had over the past couple decades. They're not threats to us because they're too ingrained in their own regions to come out to Anaheim and complete projects there. Next, there's indirect competitors. This is able workers and the First Step Staffing. They also operate in the Anaheim market. However, they do not employ people with intellectual disabilities, so we do not find them to be direct competitors. Third and finally, there are the direct Anaheim competitors. One example of this is Chrysalis, which works with marginalized workers from all backgrounds, and that's not limited to people with intellectual disabilities. We only work with people with intellectual disabilities, so our training is more specialized and our workers are more efficient as a result of that. Also, we are on a smaller scale and we're more established. My Day Counts has been in Anaheim for over 70 years now. Further, the unemployment rate among disabled people is one of the highest, so it's an even more urgent and specified crisis than supporting a business that supports broader marginalized groups. Lastly, our participants are guaranteed a minimum wage, which is higher than what other direct competitors in Anaheim offer.
So we mapped out our business strategy for the next few years to really ensure our profitability. The very first step that My Day Counts needs to do is hiring an outreach coordinator. So this person will be responsible for securing our clients and then managing all of the training of the My Day Counts participants. Within that first month, the outreach coordinator will need to secure 3 commercial cleaning customers. So commercial cleaning means large spaces such as office buildings and schools, which require repetitive weekly cleaning in the same familiar space, which is very achievable for disabled workers. And in the first year, we expect to do about 9 jobs a week and start with a group of 24 workers, 12 in the first half of the year and 12 in the second half, starting with this small group, like Nima said, to test our model and leave any space for any rotations needed. And then lastly, one of the most important steps is during year 1 to secure that government contract that Nima mentioned for cleaning venues to start in year 2. So government contracts are large sums of money for cleaning at government venues. And we found through our market research that a cleaning contract would likely be for about $300,000 each year for 3 to 5 years. And similar models to ours and other locations have really successfully secured these, and they're very highly profitable. So we're very confident that we can do the same, especially since they do give preference to nonprofits. So expanding with a government contract year 2, we expect to employ a minimum of 50 people and then keep expanding from there. Moving on to our financials, you'll see that at the very top line, that's our revenue line, followed by cost of goods sold, which is really just made up of the wages for workers, the equipment that they need, and then the transportation costs with My Day Counts already existing bus fleet. In the leftmost column there, that is our startup cost just for that first month when we're finding our first clients and not incurring revenue yet. So there's about a loss of $17,000 there. However, revenue does start to set in year 1, leading us to our break even in the first quarter of year 2. And you'll see at the bottom there, the profit jumps greatly in year 2 because that is when our government contract also sets in, which has a much higher profit margin in general. And then year 3, profits continue to increase because we are increasing our commercial cleaning jobs. So My Day Counts is a really wonderful management team that we're very confident will make this venture successful. Not only do they have years of leading new successful initiatives with their creativity, but they also have plenty of experience working on the ground with disabled individuals. They already have a very robust all-around training with their existing 450 participants, and they're very familiar with the needs of disabled individuals and what can make them successful. Ultimately, we're asking for this loan of $40,000. This will cover the first 3 months of operating expenses. That's accounting for a pessimistic scenario that it takes 3 months to secure cleaning clients rather than just 1 month. And it will also cover 1 month of operating expenses in year 2, since government contracts often take about 30 days to start actually paying for the cleaning services. Ultimately, this social enterprise uses a really incredible market opportunity that can eventually expand beyond cleaning to target an inequity in the job market that disabled individuals have really been victim to for far too long. So think back to Ruby here and her struggle to achieve basic life goals with her disability. With My Day Counts, she has already been able to take the very first steps in fulfilling her aspirations and in going home each day knowing that not only is she capable of achieving her independence, but there are people out there that actually want her help and that value her talent. So we want to make that the reality for more people through community work projects. with your help. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Well done. This time I will call first on Yolanda.
Thank you. That was a very good presentation. I really appreciate it. A couple of things that, excuse me, that struck me that might be helpful as you continue to build this out. And one is providing some insight on contingency for your revenue and your timeline. So the assumption of getting government contracts, the actuality of getting them can take much longer than you have predicted. So it may be important to incorporate that into your thinking and into your budget. The other thing I think that might be important is a little bit more information on the market. So you identify opportunities to start with companies, and it may be helpful to understand what types of companies you might pursue, or if there have been any opportunities to test or to have a conversation so that there is a demonstration of your understanding of the market.
Thank you. How about Matthew?
All right. I can't start my video because the host has disabled it, which makes sense. I'm not in any way attractive enough to be on camera.
No, that's not true.
She'll
re-able it.
there were a lot of things that I liked about it. I liked the social impacts are clear. The financial impacts are clear. I liked the comps of other companies in the space, talking about how they, are in other places. I think that was successful, and we're going to mirror something that works over here. It's also clear what your ask is and what you get in exchange for that ask. I thought that was done successfully. The piece that I would look at, and the same thing that Yolanda suggested, was I would be very thoughtful about government contracts. I would make sure that everybody in here that's dealt with any government anything, the sales cycle is forever. The payment terms are forever. Like, they're great contracts to get once you get them, and you're right to identify that. Absolutely true. Once you've got it in, you're good, and you're good for a long time. Like, they're great. But I didn't hear a lot of why you're going to win that work. And so if you've got all that nailed down, if you've got the government contracts, or you've had them in the past, or you just have to move them from here to here, or you've got 5 experts on your team that all they do is write grants all day, or you've got, if you've got an in to get that government work, I didn't hear it. And anybody that hears government work, I think, is going to be like, oh, what happens if that takes 6 months longer than they want it to take, or a year longer than they want it to take? And I would just focus a lot of energy and effort, if that's going to be the linchpin of the win for you, which is what it sounded like. That's where I would be focusing. Don't worry, we've got this part covered. You can even kind of, sort of straw man it, right? Like, and for those of you that are worried that we're going to be selling into the government, don't worry, we've got this, right? And here's your magic elixir or whatever. That's the piece that I thought could have been stronger.
Thank you. Maria.
Great. I can't turn on my video either. All good. Full disclosure, you're like scratching an itch that's kind of my itch. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been knee deep in this work for maybe 16 years of the type of work that you're talking about. So that could be a good or bad thing. So let me start with the awesome. You are great alpha and omega to each other. Your vibe in terms of how you present, Nima, great tone setting. And Alora, like the way that you balance each other out, I love it. The arc felt clean to me. You're coordinated, it's like if you were dancing, I'd give you a 9.7 on that. Here's where I struggled. On the competitive landscape, I hear what Matthew is saying, and I found your competitive landscape to be oriented towards the cause, meaning who is specialized in the cause of individuals with disabilities, as opposed to how are you competitive vis-a-vis the consumer. So if I think about the buyer of your services, whether that be companies, whether that be government contractors, do another 2x2 that shows me how you differentiate against the competitive landscape in their eyes. I get why you're so good because 70 years of experience, et cetera, but I wanted to know more about how you ranked competitively for the customer. On the COG side, I stress out about what's your general liability cost? Have you figured out your workman's comp? When you think about 20 bucks an hour, you're thinking about FICA, SUCA, everything in your fully loaded costs. I wasn't clear on that. And I wasn't clear on, especially since the anchor organization is 70 years old, the world is a litigious, gross place. And you don't know if once you launch this business, some bad thing happens, that the consequence of that bad thing might take the whole 70-year institution asunder. You don't want that to happen, right? And so that makes me think of what are the legal structures that you need to have in place in order to firewall the business from kind of the parent nonprofit. And to echo Matthew's point, the government isn't just like a hot mess to get into, it also pays late all the time. 6 months late, 12 months late is a regular and repeated expectation. And the last thing I'd say is I might just want you to contemplate around language. Like for somebody that thinks about language, I don't know if I were anchored in that space, I don't know how I would feel to have you describe disabled people, like as though they are their disability, or is there a better and more present way to describe the individuals that you're ultimately serving? We might say people who, I don't know, are, are facing housing insecurity opposed to homeless people. You might say people who've been impacted by the justice system as opposed to ex-offenders. Is it people with disabilities? What is the proper way to kind of anchor your ultimate cause population? I found myself thinking about that towards the end.
Great. And Claudia, wrap us up.
All right. I can echo many of the things that were said, but the one thing that I also caught on the competitive landscape was 70 years of experience, established relationships, et cetera. But I had not heard anything about what had happened in that 70 years. So why you? I mean, what is it that you've done? And I know you've got a lot of experience, but that was a little bit, I thought, well, why haven't you done it before? And what is pushing you to do it today? The other thing is, and I may have misunderstood this, but you talked about Relay Resources being one of your competitors, and you wanted to, and you modeled after them. And I thought, well, why not just start a Relay affiliate? You know, why use what they have done to jumpstart you or become a partner with them? I was only given 40 seconds, so that's all I can say, but I love the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yes, these judges are doing a wonderful job of making important remarks, and we're running a little over time. We have one presentation left, and you all know it's Interfaith Food Transformation. So we'll let them queue up in a minute, give the judges a second to make any notes they will need for our decision process, and stand by for Interfaith Food. Presenters, I think you're up. Take it away as soon as you're ready.
Hi, I'm Jamie Edwards Acton, an Episcopal priest and part of Interfaith Food Transformation. In March 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, one of my churches, St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Hollywood, started handing out 20 bags of fresh produce to church members who had suddenly lost their jobs. Word quickly spread. More folks showed up. St. Stephen's had to call on partners to help with more volunteers and securing more donated produce. 2 years later, we now distribute 4 to 5 tons of fresh produce weekly to over 600 families in Hollywood and in Northeast Los Angeles, and those numbers keep growing. This is Melanie. She's a preschool teacher. When the pandemic started, she and her husband were laid off from their jobs. She saw our distribution as a lifeline, not just for her family, but for several families in the apartment building where she lives. Feeding America estimates that in 2020, 108 billion pounds of food went into landfills. But incredibly, in that very same year, 13.8 million of US households experienced food insecurity. Why? Well, we came to understand that food scarcity is actually not about lack of food. It is about logistics. And relatedly, it is about how to extend the time you have to get food to folks before it goes bad. We grow more than enough food in our country to feed everyone. We just need to find ways to connect the produce to people who need it or repurpose it before it becomes inedible. And each pound of produce we give to a hungry family or transform into a healthy food product with an extended shelf life is one more pound of food waste we can keep out of the landfill. Out of these realizations about food scarcity and waste, the Interfaith Food Transformation, or IFT, was born. We are a diverse coalition of faith communities and nonprofits, now joined by a team of amazing UCLA students who have come together to tackle these issues in creative and impactful ways. IFT's leadership team is made up of Jeanette Mocht, Steve Trapasso, Asher Landau, and myself. Our combined experience in the food rescue space, nonprofit leadership, faith communities, and social enterprise offers a firm foundation for this venture.
Hi, I'm Michelle, a part of the UCLA SEA team. Our 5-person team includes Vinay Shah, Carly Lynn, Sophia Cherkii, Aurelie Lopez, and myself. Over the past few months, we've worked with the IFT team to build a venture addressing the community issues Jamie introduced and that gives back in bigger ways than we had imagined before. Venture overview. We plan on repurposing the excess fresh produce the IFT receives into delicious and healthy products. This includes 3 product lines: dehydrated soups, dried fruits and vegetable snacks, and fruit jams and butters. Because we do not know what kind of produce we will receive each week, these products accommodate practically anything we might be given. Dehydrated foods not only have an extended shelf life, but they are also just as healthy. These products are also approved for the cottage industry production by California Homemade Food Act. Rather than the costly rental of commercial kitchens, we will license home kitchens from our communities. 2 kitchens have already been offered up to launch our venture. Our products won't simply be delicious, they will also tell a powerful story of social impact. As our venture grows, we will keep more food waste out of the landfill, reduce food insecurity by expanding our produce distribution efforts, particularly in food deserts around Los Angeles, promote nutritious and healthy products, reduce economic insecurity by creating new jobs, offer powerful volunteer opportunities to make a real difference, all while generating new revenue streams for IFT partners to have an even greater positive impact in our communities.
Market analysis. Because IFT is a coalition of LA churches and synagogues, we have an initial market of hundreds of faith community members willing to purchase IFT products and spread awareness about our new venture. The second target market is farmers markets around Los Angeles. They will provide exposure to people who value a local product with a story that can generate a positive impact in the community. And finally, our third target market is millennials and Generation Z. Studies show that they are environmentally conscious and willing to pay a premium for products with a strong social impact strategy. With low ongoing costs, easy access to initial markets, and a large volunteer base, IFT has an advantage over competitors in this space in creating meaningful social impact and sustainability.
Business strategy. To launch our venture, we will leverage our strengths and assets. These include long-established relationships with large-scale food rescue organizations like Seeds of Hope, Hollywood Food Coalition, and Food Forward that give us a steady stream of fresh, free produce. A growing, committed group of volunteers, access to community members' kitchens, which enables significant scaling capacity, our 5,000 cubic feet of free cold storage and 5,000 cubic feet of free dry storage, and a large network of supporters eager to become our first customers and help spread the word. Our business strategy is focused on a 3-stage approach, scaling our venture and impact. The A/B testing stage focuses on finding the best products for our market. We will start producing our dehydrated soups, fruits, and vegetables. Incorporating data and feedback from community members, we will prepare to expand the venture's reach to the greater LA area. The second stage uses this market research to curate high-quality product lines tailored to customer preferences. We will market these products to attract target customers in the LA region. This also includes entering farmers markets. These markets are crucial because they offer a personal experience between venture and customers, giving IFT a platform to share our vision for sustainability and food security. In stage 3, we will streamline our production and distribution. Additionally, we will start producing our third line, fruit jams and butters. Financial projections. In our 30-year projection, we expect to break even the first year, generate $28,000 in excess income the second year, and increase that by 300% in the third. Conclusion. To make IFT's dream a reality, we are seeking investments to cover our first year's expenses of $35,000 to jumpstart our venture. From the UCLA team, the IFT team, and all the people depending on this venture success, thank you.
Thank you. Really great. All right, let me see. Who hasn't gone first yet? Maria.
I'll go super quick. I love this idea. I love the innovation behind it. I love the circularity of it. I love the tie between kind of no person left behind, no food left behind. So it's very innovative. And I love that you're licensing home kitchens based on that act. That's such a brilliant way to kind of bring food and leverage the community asset, which is, I think, part of the larger mission here. I might want you to punch the community element of it. There's something about food and the bringing together of people through food that is also a byproduct of your wins in that one slide, Michelle, where you walk through all the positive outcomes that are happening as a result of this. The time where my spidey sense went up was in the financial projections. It's just what gives you confidence behind those numbers? What were the assumptions that you make in creating them? That might be where it'd be worth a double click. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Matthew.
Hey there, there's a lot to like. And as Maria said, she's got sort of the bee in her bonnet about a particular issue. This one's mine. Food is mine. Working with the LA Food Bank, working with Gooder, others. I would be super, super, super careful about reading the California Homemade Food Act, because the California Homemade Food Act is super specific. It caps the number of full-time employees that are allowed to work for a cottage industry. It caps the overall revenue that you're allowed to have in a cottage industry. And it's super specific about when the California Department of Public Health can come in, step in, and stop you from making certain lines of business. You're going to need lawyers. Like, and just looking at the financials outstrip the limits of the cottage food processing law by a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure the cap is still 50 grand. You can't make over 50 grand a year top line revenue. That might be wrong, but I would just be super, super careful about leveraging home kitchens and then having growing and massive sales. Like, you talk about tons of food that you're giving away, which is awesome. It's great. I love it. But the rules around that, the laws around it, you're going to want to be crazy, crazy, crazy careful about compliance with the law.
Thank you. And Claudia.
This was a fun presentation, very well done. We were both worked well together, one handling the financial side more than and dealing with the human side, that really appealed to me. I did have a few things as a disconnect, and one of them was kind of surrounding the home kitchens. How many do you have now? How many will it take to meet your financial projections in the future? So how do you find these home cooks? It'd be something that you might want to fill out a little more in your presentation. And I appreciate your emphasis on Gen Z and millennials, because yes, they are willing to pay a premium for social impact, but that's kind of a loosey-goosey group to rely on as well. So I think you might want to look to some of the old folks like us who are also interested in sustainability and helping out with the food shortage and the insecurity that many families are facing. So not that you did anything wrong, but I think you're missing some of the other groups that are actually more able to pay the premium than perhaps millennials and Gen Z. So loved it. I appreciate the fact that you're working with a lot of different organizations. It sounds like that the organization here is more like participating in collective impact, that you're the hub to work out with a lot of other nonprofits to solve a social problem. And that is one of the things that appeals to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. And Yolanda.
Thank you. I really loved the presentation. I thought you did a great job in describing a compelling need and anchoring it in the experiences that people have had during the pandemic. I don't think there's anyone who hasn't been affected. So that really drew me in. I also thought that you articulated the impact very, very well, and did a good job in helping us understand how your process for acquiring the product. And the other thing that I really liked was the fact that it is a partnership of many organizations, and the fact that it not only was a partnership of other organizations, but you were able to bring in students from a university as part of the overall relationship and collaboration. Really demonstrates the how broadly the issue is and who is affected by it. I don't have much to add. Some of the other people, excuse me, raised issues. I did have sort of the same reaction to the financial projections that Maria did, that I would really want to understand a little bit better how you got to those numbers, and what really will it take to get to your financial projections. But nice job.
Thank you. All right, that completes the first part of our showcase, and that is presentations by our three finalists. The judges and I will be excusing ourselves to discuss how to distribute our prize pool. And we will be moving on to the fast pitch, which I believe will be moderated by Archie. We'll see you all later. Judges, back to our room.
Hello, everyone. So we had a slide a moment ago letting us know we're about to move into our fast pitches. So we're going to begin now. Our first group is Side Crawl. Side Crawl, I believe we have a slide for them.
Hi, are we all ready to go?
There we go. You have 3 minutes. Blow us into a new century.
I am not okay. Those 4 words took me over 6 months to say and far longer to mean. Society expects us to exchange pleasantries when people ask, "How's your day? How are you doing?" None of us want to feel weak. None of us want to feel broken. What was I supposed to say to the friend who asked, "How are you feeling?" Am I really supposed to say, "I feel like I was hit by a truck. My uncle committed suicide yesterday"? No, that feels wrong. I continued with pleasantries and said, "I'm okay. How are you?" In 2019, 20% of the United States population was diagnosed with a mental illness. 27 million people did not receive treatment. My uncle did not receive treatment. Mental illness is an invisible disease, growing worse and worse every single year. The COVID-19 pandemic has left people disconnected and scared. We're stigmatizing people not only for not being okay, we're stigmatizing them for asking for help. People need a way to help themselves without feeling persecuted. Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Schmidt. It has been an honor to work with SideScroll, a first of its kind online platform revolutionizing mental health journalism. SideScroll combines the anonymity of an online social media platform and the supportiveness of a therapy session through its empathy and sympathy emotes and tailored censoring software. A study published by the Annals of Behavioral Medicine in 2002 highlights that journaling produces in positive action, and whereas social media, on the other hand, may offer a way for individuals to develop their own understanding of and recovery to engage in peer support themselves. Our business venture helps SideScroll in its mission to destigmatize and eradicate mental health through a physical notebook. The SideScroll book is an endlessly reusable notebook created to uniquely promote individual mental health and directly upload to the SideScroll website. SideScroll book extends the scope and access of SideScroll, creating a pipeline to its website and additional mental health support and therapeutic circles for students and citizens at large. We aspire to be the go-to mental health notebook in the world, creating a physical and online community where others can connect over their stories and experiences. Today, we're asking for $50,000 to support our first year combating mental health. 50 million people in the United States are not okay. 27 million people are not okay and not receiving help. One person is speaking in front of you today who is not okay. There may be some of you out there in the audience who are just like us. We hope that you will join us in shrinking these numbers, making sure that everybody and anybody has a shot at a positive mental well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Great work. So next up, cancer kinship.
Hello, hello. Can you see me okay?
We can. Are you
All right.
ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
The most traumatic words a person can ever hear are three simple words that make you question your mortality, disrupt your life, and evokes fear to the point of causing long-term post-traumatic stress for many. Those three words are, you have cancer. The second most traumatic experience for cancer patients is chemo-induced hair loss. I know this to be true because I lived through the trauma of both, and I'm here 15 years later to tell you about it. My name is Yoli Orihel, and I'm the executive director and founder of the nonprofit Cancer Kinship. Our mission is to empower the cancer community to confidently face the disease through core programs that address mental health and cancer. I remember vividly the day my hair started to fall. I had just stepped into the shower when a big handful of hair fell at my feet as soon as the water touched my head. I felt so vulnerable standing there naked with tears running down my face. There was so much hair at my feet that it put an immense amount of fear in my heart. After that day, I knew that the entire world would know my secret, that I was deathly ill and fighting for my life. And I couldn't fathom seeing the look of the pity or sadness in the eyes of my loved ones, especially my father, who had lost the love of his life, my mother, to the very disease that I was now battling publicly. As heart-wrenching as that day was, I had something that gave me a huge boost of confidence and courage. I had wigs like this one, 3 very cute wigs that were given to me by my oncology nurse because I simply could not afford them. So fast forward, I stand before you with much excitement to present our social enterprise called Kinner Beauty, an online wig store that will undoubtedly help the cancer community brave the storm through a buy one, give one business model and profits that will support our charitable cause. Our online store will be integrated into our existing website as an additional community resource, and we will utilize a drop shipping vendor for order fulfillment, which will be powered by Shopify. Our customers will be anyone who wishes to buy a wig, from the everyday wig wearer to those experiencing fear and loss of confidence from hair loss. To break even, we need to sell an average of 300 units annually at the base price of $60 per wig. However, market trends show that we have the potential of selling more than 1,200 wigs annually with a net profit of $18,000 in our first year to support our nonprofit's mission. The digital-only high-impact business model will blow our competition out of the water, and we will also offer an environmentally responsible way to discard used wigs through our wig recycling program. We are currently seeking $120,000 through corporate sponsorships, grants, and small business loans to develop, launch, and manage our social enterprise and give back program and drive it through the roof. Just imagine how many more cancer patients we can help by empowering our customers to support them in such a meaningful and life-changing way. So our ask is simple. Will you join our Kinner Circle with your investment and help us unleash the beauty within? If so, I would love to speak with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Great work. Thank you, Yolanda. Youth Empowerment from San Diego, you're next.
Hello, you can hear me, Andy?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, okay, great. Hello, my name is Arthur Soriano, J41523. 23 years of incarceration, experience inhumane isolation, torture, system-induced trauma. Due to my trauma, due to my lived experience, now President, CEO of Youth Empowerment. We are in the process of developing 8 workbooks on trauma-informed practices. We are a BIPOC organization of 14 individuals with lived experience. We have several contracts: San Diego Unified School District, U.S. Attorney's Office, probation, county, and we work with families in the community. An example of the work we do, Clark Middle School. In the month of January, there was 50 incidents. From March to May, only 6 incidents, because our staff, lead mentor, 5 mentors in the school connecting with youth and families. Our social impact through the Clinton Health Foundation in partnership with the county, San Diego Foundation, Youth Empowerment, Project Aware, and Just in Time Youth. Strategically, we came together with 40 youth, and we developed the 4 pillars, the trauma-informed code of conduct. We received funding through Elevate Youth and the DA's department, a total of $354,000. Through the DA's department, our goal was to train 50 organizations in a matter of 5 months, 86% completion. After training, the 1-hour training, there was 90% interest in our up and coming trainings. We have trained San Diego Unified School District, County Board of Supervisors, U.S. Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office, Sheriff's Departments. Once we break even, we have projected to bring in a 6-figure revenue by year 2 and increasing that number by year 3. Social impact, transforming the lives of those who have experienced trauma and create a plan for those entities working with our communities who have experienced trauma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I will give you a moment. Next, we have the Polk. Well, look at this, they're faster than me. We have the Polk Institute Foundation.
George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Mario Gonzalez, and Breonna Taylor. You know the names. Each of these people have one thing in common. They were victims of underlying systematic racism in recent years, and they paid the ultimate price. While these tragedies have received the most visibility in the public eye, racism and discrimination are silent killers in other areas of society, including hiring practices. Over half of the 6 million currently unemployed in the US are minorities. This can be attributed to deep-rooted discrimination that has invaded the process of hiring. In fact, a study that measured racial discrimination in the labor market showed that resumes with white-sounding names received 50% more callbacks for interviews than similar resumes with African-American sounding names. In order to break this cycle of discrimination and injustice, we have created JobSwipe. JobSwipe is a web-based job search platform taking a refreshed approach to better matching individuals to their next employer. Job seekers swipe through opportunities one by one, similar to Tinder, applying to jobs quickly and easily with audio and video resumes and introductions to provide a more holistic insight into their character and capabilities. JobSwipe also enables job seekers to learn soft skills through bite-sized modules, after which they're able to earn badges visible to employers. Our paying customers are small businesses that hope to support this mission, in addition to building a more diverse workforce. From the small business boom to the great resignation to changing hiring trends, there's a momentous opportunity for us here. Our goal is to level the employment playing field, and JobSwipe will be able to do this through the support of our backing organization, Polk Institute Foundation. Our overarching goal is to provide diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. JobSwipe gives these companies an opportunity to fulfill their promises to underserved and marginalized people. With our success-based pricing model, we'll charge $20 per application only if it proceeds to the interview stage. So if you succeed, we succeed. By end of year 5, we anticipate having over 100,000 job seekers on the platform. That's 100,000 people with faith in us to connect them to their next employer. This is where we need your help. We split our ask into 2 phases. For phase 1, we're asking for 53,000 with the goal of establishing proof of concept by building a prototype of the platform and then beta testing it. For phase 2, we're asking for a loan of 210,000 to fund the technology, personnel, marketing expenses, and to build and launch our full platform. Acknowledging the systematic issues in our society is just not enough. We need to create this change. With your help, we can start swiping away the wealth gap. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Shafat Outreach.
Okay. The date is January 30th, 2022. 14-year-old Eric Ballanzar is walking home from high school just like every other kid in America. Boom! Eric is ruthlessly gunned down dead in a drive-by shooting. His suspected killer, only 17 years old. Children are dying. They deserve better. Better than death by gunshots, death by stabbings, death by beatings, and we can make that happen. I'm Robert Wood, a violence interrupter with Shafat Outreach. We're a premier gang violence prevention and intervention organization in San Diego that works hard to serve its stakeholders in every possible way. Since we started in 2012 and in partnership with San Diego Police, school districts, county, and other nonprofit organizations, we've impacted the San Diego community through providing outreach, resources to individuals to exit gang life and culture, responding firsthand to gun and gang violence, as well as organizing community vigils for the many souls like Eric. Shafat is here to change the way the world deals with gang violence and troubled youth. Our venture is the Shafat curriculum. Already tested for effectiveness in Boston, this curriculum utilizes trauma-informed care to change the past of troubled youth. It's a series of journals that will be provided to students and facilitated by the Shafat team, in addition to mentoring and close-knit counseling. The current market is lacking substance. It's lacking results. It's lacking passion. As someone who was incarcerated for over 17 years, I know this cannot be changed with teachers and officers alone. Our vision is within reach. Our management team includes former gang members and trained gang experts who have overcome the same challenges that our target youth are facing and have transformed their lives to give back to the communities. We sell our curriculum implementation at a price of $50 per student per hour, while our cost is only $3.80 per student per hour. Our revenue from the business is estimated to be about $124,000 over 3 years by year 3, but we need your help to make this happen. We're asking for $50,000 and offering a priceless human life impact. How much is a saved life worth? With your support, we can change and save lives. Let's make a difference. Let's make it happen for the youth in our communities. Thank you. Join us, please, and let's save these kids.
Thank you. And now we have Concerts for Charities.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Music has the power to transcend time. Let me take you back over a decade ago to when I went on a field trip to a nursing home during the holidays. We were there to sing some songs for the residents, and I vividly remember coming up to this one room with this elderly lady. She was lying in bed, hardly moving, with a blank expression on her face. I later found out she was suffering from severe dementia. Then we started singing Jingle Bells, and her face lit up. She started dancing with her hands, smiling and singing along, every word. It was as if she had been transported back in time, back to her youth. This lady who I was told at times couldn't even remember her own daughter's name. was suddenly able to remember a song she hadn't sung in decades. That's the power of music. And moments like that is what Concerts for Charities is working to foster every day. My name is Jacob, and I have the pleasure of representing Concerts for Charities, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing the power of music with all generations. It began as a group of high school friends who just liked getting together and making music, and they now play free concerts for local senior homes and community events in the Irvine area. Music has the power to connect people, and we want to help connect elementary and middle school musicians to their larger communities too. That's why our plan is to create Music Mentors, an online one-stop music lesson and instrument rental platform that will make it easier for young kids in our area to explore music and also benefit from everything that it can do for them. Music has the power to literally transform the mind. Not only does it connect us with our memories, but it has immense benefits for learning, especially for a prospering young mind. What makes us special is that our teachers are the talented, ambitious high school musicians who donate their free time to playing music in our concerts. While they gain valuable teaching and work experience, they serve as someone the younger kids can look up to, someone who can inspire them and guide them throughout their musical and personal journey. By learning with us, our kids become part of a huge community of fellow musicians who spread joy with the world. They can be the ones to bring back fond memories for someone in a retirement home. They can be the ones to bring happiness to someone who might feel completely alone, all while expanding their own minds too. Concerts for Charities has already touched numerous lives through music. And with your financial support of $16,500 to build our website and kickstart our rentals, we could inspire a whole new generation of musicians to go on and do the same. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. I would like to thank all of the students and the nonprofits for an extraordinary program, extraordinary presentations, and in this case, extraordinary fast pitches. Andy, are you still here?
I am.
We're now going to allow everyone to vote, yes?
Yes.
Allison?
Vote now.
We're now going to
go ahead, Archie.
Go ahead. I'm having a hard time focusing my eye. I'm very sorry.
Okay, so for the audience, you have a poll now that should have appeared in your Zoom window that allows you to vote for one choice for audience favorite. And the one with the most votes will come away with a $5,000 audience favorite prize that we will announce at the end of the session when we announce the overall prizes when Betsy comes back with the judges. So please take a moment to vote now. And then I think the next step is Bart will introduce our keynote speaker.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'm very honored to introduce our keynote speaker tonight. Gail Becker is a UCLA alumna and the founder of Collie Power. I met Gail where she was moderating an event on rewiring capitalism at Soka University with Simon Mainwaring, the author of Lead with We. As the mom of 2 boys with celiac disease, Gail grew tired of searching for healthier alternatives that were easy to make and tasted great. She left her corporate job and launched Collie Power in 2017. Today, Collie Power is America's #1 cauliflower crust pizza, #1 gluten-free pizza, and was named one of Nielsen's breakthrough innovators. As the company continues to expand into various categories, including chicken tenders, pasta, rice cauliflower, and breakfast scrambles, it remains Gail's mission to eliminate the need for consumers to ever have to choose between taste, health, and convenience. It's also very important for Gail to give back to our company, and she'll tell us how they do such what she shares more. All attendees will receive a coupon for a Collie Power discount, so you can experience it yourself if you haven't done that yet. And I will put the coupon link in the chat so you can all have a chance to try it. We want to make this an interactive discussion with Gail, so please add your questions to the chat and I will monitor it and ask the questions you may have for Gail. Without further ado, it's my honor to turn it over to Gail Becker. Thank you, Gail, for being here tonight. And you're muted, so let's make sure you can. Thank you.
Okay, how's that? Is that good? Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I have to say there are two things that I love in this world. One of them is UCLA and the other are entrepreneurs. So this is kind of this is really an honor for me. So I get to mix the two. I wanted to I don't have any presentation, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story and how I started Power. Probably more important, why I started Power. I was able to listen to some of the entrepreneurs pitching their ideas, and I have to say I am blown away. It was really quite something, and I think when you start a business for the right reasons, the universe sort of pays you back, and I think that's one of the lessons that I've sort of learned in starting Power. So just to give you all a little bit of background. I had no food experience other than I cooked it, bought it, and ate it. Back in 2016, I noticed that lots of people were making cauliflower crust pizzas on the internet. There were about 569,000 recipes. But I wasn't really in a place in my life where I was in a place to sort of do anything with that information. But three things happened that changed that. One was the passing of my father. He was an immigrant. I'm a first generation American, and he came here with nothing and built a small business. And I really decided when he left that I wanted to follow in his entrepreneurial footsteps. The second thing was that I worked in corporate America for many years. And, you know, I sort of looked around, I worked very hard to climb the proverbial ladder. And when I got to the top, I realized I didn't really like the view all that much. And I knew I wanted to change it, but I didn't know how. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I wanted to change. And then finally, I'm the mom of two boys with celiac disease. And they were diagnosed at such a young age that there was no gluten-free food in the store. So I really had to make everything for them. And it gave me a really good perch from which to watch the gluten-free industry evolve. And what I began to notice over the years was that, you know, the industry was putting a lot more junk in gluten-free food, more fat, sugar, salt, and calories, and less nutrients. And probably like a lot of you, I sort of waited for someone to do something about it, but no one ever did. And so ultimately, I think it's really fair to say that Power was born out of a frustration of waiting, but it was really born out of those three things happening in my life. The passing of my father, the realization that there was, this unmet need, and three, my disenchantment with corporate America, and my looking for something more meaningful. We made a lot of money for a lot of other people. We grew a lot of businesses. But I didn't feel like there was really much purpose in what I was doing. And so I put those three things in a blender, and what I came out with was, I know I'm going to leave my job and start a company called Power. And that is what I did. back in 2016. We launched the company in 2017. I started, that's when I sold my very first pizza, and it's grown a lot since then. So I started in 30 Whole Food stores in Southern California. That was my first sort of foray into grocery. And from there we grew. And I think what's notable is that I launched in Whole Foods in February 2017. We were in Walmart, 900 Walmart stores by October of that same year. And I mention it because, you know, there were a lot of people along the way who said, you know, you shouldn't go into Walmart too early. It may not do well. You won't be able to keep up. And just everybody had so many reasons why it was a bad idea. But I think, like a lot of you, and the reason why you're all taking, you know, the courses that you are, or participating in an event like this, is because I had to stay true to my mission. I had a pretty good gig in corporate America. And if I was going to give all that up, it was going to be to do something that was purposeful and meaningful to me. And to me, that mission was, I want to make healthier food more accessible to all. And what better partner to do that with than with Walmart? And so I did take a bet on Walmart, and quite frankly, Walmart took a bet on me very early on, and it's, you know, paid off nicely for both of us. We have the company has grown a lot. I think Isabel was talking about some of the stats. So we are a top 10 frozen pizza in America. And if anyone wants to guess, there's about 500 on any given day. So it is kind of an achievement. And we're the only better for you pizza in the top 10. And we've obviously grown and we've expanded, and we have all these different product categories that we are in now. When the team is much bigger, we hit over $100 million in revenue last year. And so, and it all really started because I was looking to do something that was going to make a difference in people's lives. And so one of the ways in which that came to life for me and for CauliPower is ever since we sold our very first pizza, we have given a percentage of sales to help build teaching gardens in underserved schools across the country. I'm really proud to say we have since built a lot of teaching gardens, which is great. You know, I've met a lot of people in the food industry. It's a wonderful industry. It attracts people from all over, but and it's an incredibly welcoming industry. But, you know, it also, there's a lot of people who go into the business just to, you know, build a brand or make a lot of money or do what have you. And that's all great. Those are great. But I think when I look at the industry and I look at the brands that are really making a difference, either on the shelf or in people's lives, what I see are brands that began because they had a mission. And when I look at the brands that have been very successful, they're the ones that have stayed true to that mission. Because there's 1,000 opportunities to veer off path, to take a different route, to do something that, you know, might not achieve that very reason why you started your business. But you got to stay true to that. You got to stay true to your mission and your purpose. And that's what I've tried to do. And I think, you know, CauliPower is a really good example of a company that, you know, has done well by doing good. And maybe that's a good place to stop and to answer any questions.
We have a question. Thank you, Gail, in the chat. And I'm maybe going to piggyback another one to this one. How did you get the credibility to get into these large stores so quickly, and also love to hear your thoughts about what you might be experiencing right now with a lot of the supply chain global issues, and if there's anything like current you want to add to that. But I think the question was, when you started, how did you get into many stores, such a fast pace?
Yeah, it's such a good question. What's really interesting is, look, it's a very structured business. It's one that's been around for a while, and quite frankly, it hasn't changed all that much. So there are a lot of big brands, big companies, big multi-billion-dollar vertically integrated corporations that share the pizza shelf with me. And if I had known that, quite frankly, I probably wouldn't have done it. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. But I think one of the things that has worked out well, and how I did manage to convince those retailers to bring us in, are really two ways. One, I showed the retailers how much consumers wanted this product, right? There's got to be a push and a pull. So the pull was to show, I would scour social media for everything having to do with cauliflower crust pizza. I got as much pizza in people's mouths as I possibly could into the buyers, and I sold my own story. Early on, you don't have a sales team. It's basically you. And I think people really related to the fact that I had given up my job. I had invested everything that I owned just to help people like, my kids or other people's families, and to make, to make things just a teeny tiny bit easier. And I think that really resonated. Sharing your story, building relationships, that really resonated. The other thing I have to say is, there are a lot of Goliaths out there, to be sure. But there are a lot of people, I'll say for the grocery industry in particular, maybe, they're rooting for the Davids. They're rooting for the entrepreneur. They want you guys to win. They really do. And I had many along the way who sort of helped me. They would, give me guidance or give me a little tip or tell me to do something this way instead of another way. And you know what? That was pretty amazing. And I can really, give you names of people who have been in the retail industry a lot longer than I have, who really wanted to see Cauliflower win and really helped us get there.
Thank you. We got a couple more questions for you, Gail.
Yeah.
One is, why Walmart and not Costco?
Well, it's interesting. So I actually had to, so one of the hardest things to do as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure many of you know this, is to say no, right? Like, it's not in our blood. We're not built to say no. That doesn't, right? Entrepreneurs are built to say yes. But I actually had to tell Costco no, because I didn't have enough capacity to serve Costco and to also serve Walmart. But even taking Walmart out of it, the Costco model is so much so fast, with no promise that it's going to last for beyond a couple of months, by the way, that you could use up all your capacity with zero long-term assurance. And I made, and it's only really for one region. So I made the decision to tell Costco no, because if you don't tell them no and you end up disappointing them, you will never have business again. That's not just true with Costco, that's true with most retailers, but particularly so with Costco. So rather than ruin our reputation with them, I said no, And at the end of the day, it ended up being the right decision, because otherwise I would have disappointed them and never had the chance to be there.
This is a great lesson. Thank you again for sharing, Gail.
Yeah,
Another excellent question here. What were the main ways how you educated and prepare yourself to enter this line of business?
So remember that ignorance is bliss thing? No, look, I would say two things. I did do some research, not enough. I did some research. I read some books, not enough. I read some books. But what I did do is I hired people who were smarter than me in areas that I knew nothing about, right? And I took what I did know, which in my case was marketing. I worked at a very large global marketing firm. And that was something I felt comfortable with and I knew. So I led with that because that's what I knew. And I hired people smarter than me to teach me about sales, to teach me about operations and other parts of the business. I think a lot of entrepreneurs fall into this trap where you feel because you're the founder, you have to know everything. You have to have all the answers to everything. Well, that's not true. You actually have to have the courage to say, I don't know that, but I'm going to hire people who do. And that's really what I did. Nobody expects you to know all the answers. And in fact, it's detrimental to the business. So know what you're good at, know your strengths. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's finance, maybe it's operations, maybe it's sales. Whatever part of the business it is, know what you're good at and then hire around you.
Thank you. I appreciate how every time you summarize that really well, all the learnings we're having with you tonight. If there was one thing, if you could travel back in time and go back to Gail when she started this journey, what would be the one piece of advice that you will give your younger self?
You're talking like 6 years ago, younger. Yeah.
Yes, 2017.
I mean, it's
that could
a
be
long list.
To some of these maybe attendees here today who are thinking about maybe getting into entrepreneurship, but it's so scary. What is maybe one of the big learnings you had and you wish you knew when you started?
It's a lot. Hire good lawyers. There are people, I am sorry to say, that will take advantage of young entrepreneurs. They just will. So you have to be smart and you have to be armed. And you have to either have people on your board who've been through this before, advisors, someone that you can pay. Lawyers, I would say, are just a necessary evil, because all of you in particular, you're all entrepreneurs because you want to make the world better. That's amazing. But not everybody does. So protect yourself. I made some really good decisions. I made some not so good decisions. If I could tell myself anything, I probably would have warned myself on the latter. So I'm using my lessons to warn all of you. Just remember that, when you're growing and you're successful or you're onto something, everybody wants to go along for the ride. But just, sleep with one eye open, is what I say. I hope that's not too cynical.
No, I think, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and I think this is very true, and sometimes you have to follow your instinct on, who you want to get close to and not so close to. And this is true. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think this is very sound advice. Maybe another question about giving back. So, you know, as a founder, entrepreneur, and now of a thriving company, what are some ways that you've been thinking and giving back to the community, to others through Collie Power?
Yeah, well, we still have our teaching garden program. We still give a percentage of our sales to build these teaching gardens. And I will say it's interesting because to me, it seemed so natural. Like, of course I was going to do that. But you'd be surprised, most young companies don't do that because money is so hard to come by and money is so expensive. And but that was the decision I made since we sold our first pizza. Some people will look at Collie Power and me and said it was absolutely the right thing to do. And other people will look at Collie Power and me and say, that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but it was the right thing for me. It was the right thing for me. And, you know, some of the happiest, most joyous parts of this journey, and it's been crazy, have been the days that I have spent at the schools, like watching the kids either plant their gardens or harvest the vegetables, or one day we even cooked with the vegetables, taught them how to cook with the vegetables. I mean, that's the most rewarding bit of all. And so it's something we do to this day, and you know, I'm hopefully will always do.
Great. I'm also checking to see if we have any other questions or if anybody wants to ask, you know, so maybe in terms of, you know, as we're coming to an end shortly here, Gail, you want anything you want to share with us about some exciting, nothing confidential, but some exciting news or things that you see in the near future for yourself, for Collie Power, some of the things that you know you're going to be doing maybe in the next year or two?
Well, innovation is always very important to us, and really it's the thing that gets me excited, you know, all the time. So we have expanded our lines. We have chicken tenders. Our chicken tenders actually are number 2 product. That was another risky decision, but it's the healthiest chicken tender ever made. We have pasta from Italy. We have all of these products, which is wonderful. And we're coming out with 2 new products in 2022, which I wish I could tell you, but I can't. But lots of exciting innovations, you know, coming. I will say just one point of clarification, which I think is kind of an important one. It is not, we're not giving you a coupon for a discount. We're giving you a coupon for a free product, because you know, there's really nothing better than fueling entrepreneurs. And I just want you guys to know how impressed I am with all of you. There was nothing like this back when I went to UCLA, although I loved being a Bruin, but nothing like this. So I'm so happy for all of you, and really just so, you know, so impressed that of what I heard, and that you're, and that you're, you know, you're using entrepreneurship for good. It's, you know, in today's world, I think we really need to rely on business to fill the gap that government just can't, right? It's really up to you guys. It really is. It's up to me, it's up to us, but it's really up to you. And based on what I heard, I feel incredibly optimistic, so.
Thank you. And I concur with your statement. I think we have you know, the students here did an amazing job. I think we're all feeling very optimistic for the future.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Thank you so much for being able to, for being willing to share your experience with us, Gail. Again, I was very impressed when I met you the first time. I think, you know, these conversations about rewiring capitalism and doing good through the power of business, you know, are fantastic. And again, if, you know, if there's any last burning questions, feel free to put it on the chat, but I'm going on behalf of all of us, really thank you very much, Gail, and thank you for the free product. I think enjoy to go to the store. This is very generous of you. So you know, we're grateful for your time, grateful for you know, for everything you share. I think those were great lessons. So thank you again. You know, as a also UCLA alumna, thank you for being here.
Go
and supporting
Bruins. There you
everyone.
go. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Oops. All right. I think it is time for me to step back and announce the awards. First, I want to say that in my 12 years of working with Archie and Andy on this program, I am forever and always impressed with the feisty, innovative leaders of not-for-profit organizations that we work with. I began ASE to empower you, and you will always have my heart. It is a special delight to be able to award some of you with seed capital so that you can move faster to implement your ventures. And we have a very unusual situation this year. One of our participant organizations withdrew from the program a few months ago, thus becoming ineligible to win prize money. The student members of their team moved through feelings of abandonment and pressed on to complete the business plan for their venture. We felt it was only fair to let them compete in the venture competition, and they did so well that they are one of our finalists today. After the judges had moved towards a decision, I let them know that the money which the student team would have been awarded should be spread between the other two finalists. They were sad because they thought the student team did a spectacular job and wanted me to be sure I let you know that they're very impressed with the plan you put together. That said, congratulations to Lost and Found Dogs USA and to Interfaith Food Transformation, who will each receive $15,000. And the audience favorite prize will be revealed when Allison closes out the voting. She tells me that the answer will pop up right here, and here it is. You see that the winner of the Audience Choice Award is Concerts for Charities. So I have to say, it's been a very impressive, this academy has been especially impressive for the leadership that the students have provided, because Concerts for Charities was also started by students. Congratulations to everyone. This is where I hate that there's no applause. Imagine applause, wild applause.
Yes,
And
congratulations to everyone, and thank you very much for your participation in this academy and all that you've brought to it. I think it's, I hope for the members of the organizations all feel that they've taken useful knowledge away from this, and I think you help create a very special situation for our students. I know from their feedback that they really value working with you and the real life experience they get out of working with you. So thank you very much.
And thanks again to all the people who make this possible, who are now showing on your screen under acknowledgements. And go have yourselves a wonderful evening and look for us next year.